The James Show Podcast.
I love this story because this is sort of the ultimate in boomerang theory, where Leticia James came to power as to be the prosecutor in New York City with just on the promise of nothing else but to get Trump.
New York City!
And so if you want to go back and look at what she was saying on the campaign trail when she was campaigning, it was quite clear what she was all about. She was targeting Trump.
Focus on Donald Trump. We need to follow his money. What is fueling my soul right now is Trump.
This illegitimate president. I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, and then going home.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president.
All right, we can cut off there. Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins was playing a montage that was like 90 seconds long of her doing that. So, look, it's quite obvious. No one can say anything other than she went in with a specific intent, the promise, her modus operandi, her driving inspiration was targeting Trump and finding whatever she could for whatever reason to indict him. And then in just a delightful sense of humor from the Lord our God, she did indict him for falsifying paperwork in order to get a favorable loan. Now she's being indicted for falsifying paperwork to get a favorable loan. And so let's look at her response now. This is Leticia James. She put out a statement after the indictment went down last night. And I saw this getting passed around. And you could just pass this around with no comment. Well, there doesn't need to be any music or a laugh track under it. It is funny just all on its own. And she didn't mean for this to be funny. This is just ironically funny. And also, in addition to the words, because the content of this matters, but listen to her delivery as well. She's got a plain background. She's got studio lighting. You can tell there's a top light. There's a light from both angles. It's very bright. It's perfect. The white balance is perfect. This wasn't something done on someone's iPhone. This is on a tripod with a nice camera. So it's all really theatrically set up. And then her delivery as she goes into the whispers to let you know that she's not reading the script. She means this. And it's like, am I at theater contest again? Did you ever go to theater contest and you had to do dramatic interp? That's what I feel like this is. But here's first part.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost.
Yeah, you're getting indicted for doing your job as a prosecutor? I don't think so. I think you're being indicted for lying to the bank and saying the house was going to be your primary residence, but clearly it wasn't, so you can get a lower rate. I think that's what this is about. But this is the conclusion. The whole statement was about 2 minutes, and she does the whispering dramatics again. It's adorable.
I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
What's with the whispering thing? Who talks like, listen again.
And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Did your faith also teach you to falsify mortgage documents? Is that what your faith taught you? What does your faith have anything to do with in this situation? Nothing. She's just trying to appeal to people who would be sympathetic to such an argument here. But again, let's go back to Leticia James 2 years ago. Or actually, this might be 3 years ago. She's at the National Action Network. That's Al Sharpton's outfit. So she is at a black activist conference bragging about targeting Trump. And then yesterday has the gall to say, hey, can you believe someone uses the justice system to target their political opponents? Yeah, we can believe it because you exist.
My mission is clear. I'm focused. I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've been trained by the best. I went to Howard University that overturned legal segregation in this country. I've been taught in those classrooms where Thurgood Marshall once taught. I'm not afraid of no president. Donald Trump, we're ready for you. We're coming for you. We're standing up for you. We're fighting on. We're not going down silent. Victory, my friends, is clear. It's now. And I'm not waiting 4 years. I'm waiting 2 until a speaker by the name of Hakeem Jeffries comes to bring us some rest. Come on, ladies. It's up to us. We saved this democracy before. We'll save it now. Let's go.
Was that the same woman? Yeah, that's the same woman. Look, you've seen that happen before when they get in front of a different audience. They unlock a different accent. You saw Jasmine Crockett do it in August.
First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress.
Man, because these people, they are crazy, because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you, and the wives is being messy and petty.
Yeah, and then that's like the difference between Colin Kaepernick when he was doing interviews as the rookie quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. Say, I'm Colin Kaepernick, versus his Blacktivist special that they did on Netflix. Check out this back and forth.
I think my comfort level is about the same as the beginning of the season. I've been comfortable this whole season with everything. Compared to last year, I think I'm a lot more comfortable, more so with the offense than what defenses are doing. Our offense has a lot of volume, and that's something that just takes a little bit of time.
Okay. Him in the Netflix special. He's talking about being a slave in the NFL. That's it's going to be a pretty hard switch here.
Let me tell you something. What they don't want you to understand is what's being established is a power dynamic. Before they put you on the field, teams poke, prod, and examine, searching for any defect that might affect your performance. No boundary respected. No dignity left intact.
Before they put you on the field. That's not how you talk. Now, your life is not going to be affected directly one whit whether or not Leticia James goes to jail for mortgage fraud. It's not going to be made better nor worse depending on the outcome of this trial. However, this is something great to pay attention to because this is going to be the deciding factor on whether or not the lawfare that we've experienced over the last few years, is this going to be just the normal course of things going forward? Have we opened a Pandora's box that we can't shut? Have we squeezed out toothpaste that we will never put back into the tube? Well, if the Leticia James trial doesn't put a stop to all of this, then the answer would be yes, we now have to live in a world where you're going to be constantly persecuted through the court system for your political opinions once you have become a threat to someone's power. And both sides are going to do this. And I can't blame them. If one side's going to do it, the other side has to do it, or you're just going to constantly lose. I think we would all prefer for this to go away. But we remember the persecutions that happened, all the lawfare that happened for Trump. Trump, this is a guy who went 78 years of his life never being indicted for a crime. But somehow, after he announced his candidacy to run for president again for the 2020 election, somehow over the next 6-7 months, there were 4 different arrests, 6 different cases, 2 of them civil cases. 90-something charges brought against him. That's amazing. That's incredible. All of a sudden, 4 indictments within 6 months of him announcing. What a great coincidence. It's either one of the most amazing coincidences in our criminal justice history, or it was quite naked political persecution through the legal system. But what was the response from around the media? It was no one was above the law.
The idea that no person is above the law is a bedrock principle of American justice.
No man is above the law, no matter what the crime.
And I agree with you. No man is above the law, and no person is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one's above the law.
No one is above the law.
No man is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No man is above the law.
He has to be held accountable. He's not above the law.
Hey, all right, we can kind of cut it off there. That's a minute and a half montage that I'm only going to play 30 seconds. Because now Leticia James is being indicted. And now what are they saying? They're like, this is political persecution. going after this woman for mortgage fraud. What? Everybody does this.
Aside for a second, what Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people for doing this.
Yeah, that is like not the most normal thing in the world, CNN. Most people don't even own 2 properties. Half of us are lucky that we have just 1 property. There's still a big chunk of the country that's renting right now that owns no property. So no, this isn't the most normal thing. This isn't something everyone goes through. This is something only a small select group of people who've made it to the second level of wealth accumulation may even have access to trying. But I think it's a pretty safe bet that for all of the friends and family and listeners out there who do own a primary residence and then other properties, whether it's a vacation house or a rental house or Airbnb or whatever, y'all don't get rolled up in mortgage fraud, do you? So we went from no one's above the law to now this is a threat to democracy. We went from no one's above the law to this is quite literally political persecution. We went from no one's above the law to where I guess this is what fascists do now. Really? And so it's so fun to watch Scott Jennings on CNN, on Abby Phillips' show, be at a table with 4 other people who disagree with him, who are all trying to act like all of human history just started a month ago. And they have no recollection whatsoever of all the cases that went up against Trump for the last few years here. Or I say few years. It was just in that 6 months after he announced for the 2024 election. And I think I said 2020 earlier. But you know what I meant. So here's Scott Jennings with the greatest job in the world, being the one guy who gets to argue for the truth around 4 people who are lying to your face.
I mean, Leticia James is the absolute worst possible poster child for the argument of selective prosecution. Her entire political career has been on the idea of selectively prosecuting one person, Donald J. Trump. Whether you think the merits of the case are strong or weak, or how you think it's going to play out, going out tonight and crying and whining and fussing about selective prosecution when it comes to Leticia James, who ran an entire campaign saying she was going to go after Trump. The cases she brought, it was only because of Trump. I don't think the American people are going to have too much sympathy for it.
How easy is that? Like, how do you even come close to making the argument against that? Because, again, if you're just joining us, if you missed the montage earlier, this is Leticia James during her campaign to be the prosecutor that she was going to target Trump. This was her campaign promise. In fact, this was the main plank in her platform, is taking down Trump.
Focus on Donald Trump. We need to follow his money. What is fueling my soul right now is Trump.
This illegitimate president. I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, and then going home.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president.
That's wild stuff. I mean, that's right up there with Stalin. You show me the person, I'll show you the crime. He was already guilty in Leticia James' eyes. He was just going to get into office and make up something in order to try and take him down. And what did she use? Oh, he defrauded some paperwork in order to get a favorable loan on a property. And now she may be going down for fraudulent paperwork so she can get a favorable loan on a property. Oh, my God. That is so delicious. I'm your host, James Parker. Across the glass over there is a young man pushing a bunch of buttons over there, and you don't get to hear from him much on the show. But in meetings, he volunteers stories that are kind of entertaining. I don't know. You make the call. We just decided to make a segment out of it called Garrett's World.
When I was about 2 years old, now I don't remember this, but according to my mom, we were at church, and during communion, when the Lord's Supper was given out, I saw a plate full of crackers being passed. And I said, "Cacker? I like cacker." But my mom said, no cacker. Then the plate of juice was being passed. I saw it and said, "Deuce? I want deuce." And my mom said, no deuce. Finally, the plate for the offering came around. My mom had given me 2 quarters to give, and she told me to put it in the plate. But I looked at that plate, looked at my money, and told my mom, "No cacker, no deuce, no money." So my mom literally had to shake the money out of my hand. After service, she told our minister what happened, and he said, "I think there's a sermon somewhere in that."
Don't encourage him. You're telling a story you don't even remember. So this isn't even like a Garrett story. This is like a story that Garrett is relaying from his mom. You can talk in the air.
Yep, that's one of the stories that she told me. I thought, sounds kind of cool. I like it.
So the young 2-year-old Garrett, kind of a philosopher king, kind of stingy.
A little bit, if I didn't get my way back then.
Why this story? You know, like you're a baby. You're telling a story from when you're a baby. You know, dude. See, this is what's strange. He's like so nice, and he's so wholesome, and he's so good. Like, do you jaywalk? Like, do you? Are you one of the people that like, never breaks laws?
I sometimes jaywalk every once in a while.
Because Miss Parker is close to that scenario too. Miss Parker will be like, "You're speeding," and I'm like going 76. I'm like, "Shut up." You know, laws. I understand we all live in a nation of laws and we should all follow them to have a polite civil society or whatever. But there are some people who take it a little more serious than others. And, you know, some societies, some cultures, you know, are you know, real rigid about their adherence to the law. Garrett, do you have any stories about how, like, you ditched school and wrecked a car or set something on fire or blew something up? Because, like, we're young men from Texas who probably made a lot of dumb decisions. And it seems like your dumb decisions are pretty benign.
Well, conveniently, I'm glad you brought that up because in a couple of weeks, not next Garrett's World, but the Garrett's World after that, we'll discuss the one time I got in trouble at school.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. You have this mapped out weeks in advance?
Yep.
You only got in trouble at school one time?
One big time.
Oh, my God. I got in trouble in school way more than that. Like, I know it sounds like I might have been well liked around school, but if you were my teacher, I probably gave you a hard time. I got sent to my senior year. I got sent to in-school suspension so many times that they put my name on a desk. And the Coach Taylor, that was one of the guys that was there for a couple hours there. "Hey, welcome back, Parker. Got your desk right here," and he'd slap it for me. But look, it was different. I'm from a real tiny town, and my grandmother worked at the school that I went to, and so like half my teachers already knew me before I even showed up. So I mean, it's a little bit different scenario, but yeah, these are the wild, wacky stories from Garrett's world. Garrett, you are so nice and wholesome. It's suspicious. Does that even make sense? Like if someone's so good, you're like, "What's going on? Is there a candid camera here? You can't be real." Or there's got to be like some hidden thing. Like there's a bunch of alley cats that are buried under his crawl space or something. You don't have any like secrets we need to know about, right? You're not like
No, nothing too big. Nope.
Just a really nice guy. Okay.
I guess so, yeah.
Just only got in trouble in school once.
One major time, yep.
You're an interesting cat.
That's another story for another time.
All right, let me squeeze in here a video that was being passed around. I won't say this went viral, and this doesn't really fit into any of the other stories here, so I'm just going to squeeze it in between Garrett's World and our next guest. It's a Charlie Kirk video. He was asked about his thoughts on Marxism, and it kind of overlaps with a lot of the general themes on what we talk about here, because, you know, one of the main problems that we're having with so many of these issues, whether it's crime or drug addiction or education or healthcare results, or a lot of this comes back to how we have strayed away from the nuclear family. We have strayed away from religion and Christianity and the values and precepts that come with that. And he kind of rolled that into a critique of Marx, which was cool.
I want to hear your thoughts on the writings of Karl Marx.
Not a fan.
What specifically do you disagree with it?
That private property, formation of family, and connection to the divine or religion must be eradicated for a communist revolution. I think those three things actually underpin a civil society.
Yet civil society before believed in monarchism and believed that the king was divine. And we moved on from that to have the democracy we have today, all the great things we have today. Do you not believe there are other things we can move on from?
Well, first of all, actually, we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. Second of all, no, I don't think we should move on from the family. We're doing that right now in America, and it's a complete disaster. Things aren't better than ever. Our country's sicker than ever. We're more suicidal, more anxious, more depressed. Crime rates are up. We have deaths to despair way up. We're in an existential crisis in this country, largely because people no longer believe in God. Our family formation is down. I think how you view the world, how you view yourself, and how you view yourself in the cosmos, most importantly, is more important than how much money you have in the bank account. And that's where my biggest disagreement with Marx is he was highly, highly obsessed and focused on people's material standing. I'm much more interested in people's eternal spiritual standing and, of course, how they view themselves in relation to the world. Does that make sense?
Is it actually going to happen? Are we going to get peace in the Middle East? Now, it looks like it may happen on paper, but you and I have both been through the experience our entire lives where people have promised peace in the Middle East, or at least a step toward that, or at least progress, and it just has never really panned out for one reason or another. So let's bring in back to the James Show, Dr. Bo Cavallo from Tarleton State University. Welcome back to the James Show. And it seems like the first step here, where you have the Israeli soldiers withdrawing from Gaza, that is underway today, according to reports. What are you seeing over there?
Well, that's right. And thank you so much, James, for having me back. Great to be with you. Israeli forces, the IDF, have withdrawn to the agreed upon line as confirmed by the U.S. government. And so population moving back along the beach through Gaza. There's celebrations in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, as well as in Gaza. So like you're saying, cautiously optimistic. History maybe doesn't give a lot of reason to just assume that it's in place. But I think with these players, with the informal channels that President Trump has been willing to use, and especially with Steve Witkoff in the mix, I am cautiously optimistic that we'll see these hostages returned Monday, Tuesday, and just a monumental accomplishment, given that it's Hamas, it's not the Palestinian Authority, it's the much more extremist, militant, Islamist wing of Hamas, and so really just a joyful time, I think, as we stay cautiously optimistic.
Well, are the Palestinian activists in America happy about this? Last night after I got off work, I actually walked a few blocks away, and in one of the parks here downtown, there were a whole bunch of activists waving Palestinian flags, and they had the bullhorn, and they're doing the free Palestine and all this stuff. Are they even happy with this deal?
You know, that's weird the way you're describing it. It doesn't surprise me. I'm not seeing much in Stephenville, Texas, but are there people who would like to see the conflict, continue? They're not happy that it looks like with a president who's willing to upset norms, and with a prime minister in Israel who's willing to not flinch. Are they upset that there might actually be a lasting peace? As much as it's disappointing to say, there's people who might be upset, but I think you're right about that.
Yeah, I find that really weird because they're demanding an end to the genocide in Palestine, and so wouldn't you just naturally cheer a ceasefire? And so I was left pretty confused about that.
Cheer the ceasefire, cheer the commitments that President Trump is making to invest in Gaza. I mean, this sounds kind of like a Marshall Plan approach. Also, why not cheer the fact that, it's 48 or so Israeli hostages who are being returned. It's like almost 2,000 Palestinian prisoners who are being returned. So, Netanyahu's gotten some heat. We'll see how he does in the coming months in Israel. I mean, his place in history is secured, but are there hardliners on the right who are not happy given the numbers? I can't imagine why sort of, on the Hamas Arab side there, people wouldn't be just very happy.
Yeah, well, we're talking with Dr. Bo Cavallo from political science at Tarleton State University. So if this is going to continue in the right direction, we will know by the end of Tuesday? Because that's when the prisoner swaps are slated to happen. Do I have that timetable correct?
That's right. And so the period of 72 hours is underway. The Israeli Defense Forces have withdrawn to the agreed upon line, and this is step by step. And we've had an agreement on general principles. We're still going to need to see Hamas renounce any claim to governing authority in Gaza. Easier said than done. But yeah, one of the next steps is absolutely Monday, Tuesday all these hostages need to be returned.
So, Dr. Bo, give me details on who's going to be governing the Gaza Strip now. There's some new entity that's supposed to be like a collaboration, from what I understand.
Well, and that's a great point. It's meant to represent an international consensus. So clearly, American influence is critical, essential. The word technocratic is used at one point in the 20 points of the peace agreement. I thought that was odd, but meant to reassure. So technocrats, obviously people who are meant to be experts and not political. So I think what that's doing is it's a nod to, we want an international presence. We want technocrats or experts, not partisans, who are going to take one side or the other side. I think that's extremely smart of the Trump administration to insist on that. And then there is some language about no U.S. soldiers on the ground. I think that's extremely smart too. So that's right. Trying to build as much consensus as possible.
Well, I'm all on board with the no American soldiers on the ground in Gaza. I didn't even know that was one of the bargaining chips. Hey, man, y'all were expecting that to be okay. So,
well, you're not wanting to send American troops back to the Middle East? Like, what's you don't believe in building democracy around the world, it sounds like.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? So if we do get this wrapped up, what's the excuse for the people over in the West Bank? Are they just going to drop their whole grievance, or are they still going to have disputes with Israel too, and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict will just shift to the West Bank?
Well, and I think that's a great question, because we've got these two sites where the conflict has been unfolding. And since 2007, 2008, Gaza has been governed by Hamas after pretty remarkably, Israel unilaterally withdrew from Gaza, kind of a big experiment. And then, the West Bank, has been governed. It's usually been seen as a more moderate group. The Palestinian Authority and Hamas don't get along. And so I think the hope is, securing a peace here maybe emboldens moderates, people in the center, in the West Bank. If you look through the 20 points carefully, there's also some really interesting language about crafting different kinds of narratives, bringing in people from different faiths. I've heard that kind of talk in different places, and I'm sometimes a little skeptical here. If you can bring in the West Bank, people who really, really, really loathe Hamas and get those moderate voices amplified. I think it could be kind of an amplifying effect. Now, of course, on the Israeli side, there's increasingly a movement that says the entire West Bank should be annexed. In my opinion, that's probably not the way to go. Just as of this moment, but I would see it as a positive. I would see it as a positive, as I think you're suggesting.
I hear you, Dr. Bokwala. Fingers crossed. Maybe it'll work out, and we'll get an update from you soon, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. Yeah.
The James Show Podcast.